Hey everyone, I'm just here to disclose that the Muldrotha Brawl deck that we're building on today's Tap Tap Concede will be played on a sponsored stream for Wizards of the Coast. So, that's everything, right? Alright, enjoy. Broadcasting live from the luxury suite on the plain of Kylum, this is Tap Tap Concede. Hello everyone. As you may have noticed, we are still in the luxury suite, and we're not leaving. They're going to have to dig us out of here with room service in some way.
We've barricaded the door.
Sternly worded missives from butlers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Notes slid under the door that strongly imply that our stay here is an end.
A very passive-aggressive exchange between us and a maitre d'.
Yes. And that's why we like this place. They care.
Yeah. This is, the level of attention to detail is extremely good. Like I feel cared for and respected, but also wished to leave.
Which is all I really ask for.
Yes.
Hello everyone. I'm Cameron.
We're probably gonna broadcast here for a couple more weeks. Yeah. I'm Nelson. Yeah.
I'm Kathleen.
And we're here to talk to you about Magic the Gathering. But first, some bookkeeping. This podcast is brought to you by the kind people over at cardkingdom.com.
Card Kingdom.
Thanks, Card Kingdom.
Cardkingdom.com. Pay them so they pay us.
It's a kingdom of cards.
Our liege. Cardkingdom.com is a great online storefront if you are interested in picking up Magic singles and you live anywhere basically in the world, or if you're looking to buy Magic sealed product and you live in the United States, you can also do that. Their shipping is, at this point, notoriously fast.
So quick.
And their service is also really good. And if you put in your shipping or your notes field, Loading Ready Run sent me button please, they will send you one of our little 1-inch buttons, which may and are likely to be out right now, so that kind of disincentivizes that. But it will let you know that we sent you, especially if you go to cardkingdom.com/LRR, which
That's
is our
our
affiliate
referral code. If enough people go there, we'll get our own baronet.
Whoa.
Yeah, from the Card Kingdom.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be a marquis.
Oh yeah, I spent a good couple minutes trying to think of an appropriately small feudal granting.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we can't be dukes.
No, but a barony.
What does a marquis like preside over?
A march.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think a marquis is below a baron.
Yeah.
A barony being a little bit.
Yeah, I think it goes like, I mean,
bigger than
the
a
problem
march.
being it depends what history you've studied, because like French ones were different than English ones.
Mm-hmm.
But like Duke is very high up. Earl was penultimate, and then it got demoted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but in the Norman invasion.
Oh. What about the Dauphin?
The Dauphin. Well, I mean that's
That's
now
France.
we're talking France.
If you've been left behind, join me in my being left behind by this discussion of old feudal place names.
In the context of Magic, I'm pretty sure barons are always vampires.
Right.
Right.
I don't quite know why that is, but
Are there
There
any
is.
marquis in Magic the Gathering?
I don't think so.
Don't
Well,
think so.
I mean,
But there's one in Neverwhere, so you should watch that
oh.
if you haven't seen it yet.
Oh.
Or read it.
This podcast is also brought to you by you, the viewer, over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Thank you for paying us to do this.
We
Keeping
really
our
appreciate
serfs
it.
paid as well.
Yes,
We appreciate
and
it. Yeah.
allowing me to use all kinds of Wi-Fi's and
And
also
electricity.
electricity, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at
Keeping
me,
the
I'm
mics
just
working
reaching
so
off
we
the
can do
office
this
right now.
podcast. Nice.
Yeah, using the power and everything.
That you guys paid for and we appreciate it.
All right. We thank the viewers. We thank Card Kingdom. That
Yeah.
means we can get to the cracking of the pack.
It is time to
so.
roll the ceremonial oversized dice, Cameron.
Yes.
Nelson, let us begin for the tumbling of the orb.
Go forth, please, Kathleen. Roll the mighty dodecahedron.
11.
11.
You went from your side, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. Counts under his breath. Oh no, it's the dark again. Brutal. Notoriously bad set. From like the second year that Magic existed. From Zoltan Grammatic the Chairman.
Ooh.
Zoltan
You know,
Grammatic the Chairman.
This was a set I was never allowed to buy with my allowance.
Oh really? Oh
it
yeah.
spooky?
Mom was like,
No,
no,
well,
not that set.
My dad was like, "You're not buying those again, are you?"
Oh,
Let's
This
go
is
buy
when-
hockey cards.
The dark
We'll
is when
buy
your
hockey
parents
cards.
found out about Magic.
Yeah, and they're like,
All right.
how much have you spent on this thing?
So this is English the Dark. This is the most expensive the Dark pack you can get.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the
English
pack.
The Dark?
I think so. Yeah, you can get it for in Italian, probably still now for not
Is there
too
any-
much. But this is a nice one. Thank you, Zoltan.
Is there anything good in the dark?
Yes, there's
Blood Moon.
Mazavith and Blood Moon.
Oh shit! Those
Yeah.
are good cards.
Those are both good cards. Yeah, for the longest time, Mazavith was the main one, and then eventually, Eternal players figured out that Blood Moon is not just cute, but actually reliably super powerful. Okay, we doing this?
Yes.
Let's.
Oh, that's the sound of.
So old.
That's definitely the sound of old plastic and money being ripped.
Preacher and City of Shadows are the other.
Ooh,
The
those
other-
ones have creeped up over the years.
Okay.
Holy shit, we got there!
Oh!
Sweet. I guess they put your rare at the front of these packs. I was trying to be like dramatically like I kept the pack still,
Okay.
you know. But thanks,
Okay.
Zoltan. Did you
Holy
now? These
shit.
are old packages you can see through, so I don't know if Zoltan, you're like trying to be extra sweet to us, and you had already peeked this pack to know that you were giving us a Blood Moon. If so, thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
It's pack mint.
Dang.
Some play.
Yeah, Blood Moon when it first came out was like pretty cute and kind of annoying. It would shut down, notably, Mazavith, other dual lands, Strip Mine, shut down
Oh,
Strip
yeah.
Mine, which was important. It could shut down Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale. Those were all played back in '94. So, and then probably even more importantly, I want to say, it turned on your your Mountain Walk of your goblins.
Oh.
Like that's the way I
Oh,
remember my
yeah.
play groups kind of really using this card. It's like I'll always be able to get in with my mountain walking goblins.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
not necessarily a bad strategy.
no, it's not horrible. You have to rely on your opponents to play non-basic lands, but usually everyone played like one, you know,
Yeah.
at least one.
Everyone had had found something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Okay, so like we're gonna. I guess I opened the pack in reverse. It's gonna get less exciting and just more obscure from here. Living Armor.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I remember this.
This is like kind of an early prototype of an equipment, right? Except that you don't get to reuse it. It costs way too much. It only affects toughness, and it has amazing art by max. But yeah, wow, this card's bad. Just so bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you're listening at home, it's 4 generic to cast, an artifact, tap, sacrifice Living Armor to put a +0/+X counter on target creature, where X is target creature's casting cost.
So I guess, as opposed to like just an enchant creature, at least this couldn't be destroyed, like couldn't be disenchanted.
Yes.
That's really the only
No, it
advantage.
can be disenchanted. Well, you can disenchant the artifact, although you could sacrifice it in response to someone doing that.
But,
But you couldn't. You know what you can't do is you can't.
Like once it goes on,
Yeah.
like theoretically, it is better than an enchantment for 4 to
Yeah.
put a +0/+X
You just
counter,
have to-
or just +0/+X on to a creature,
It's just so bad though. You just have to work so hard to get any value out of this card.
and then it just does toughness. So it's
It
not
just
even
does
gonna like.
toughness.
Yeah.
You can't win the game with it ever. Yeah. Great art. I've never seen this thing in the battlefield. Okay. Fisher. This was a commonly played card back in '94. Slower red decks. 3 colorless and 2 red symbols. Instant, target land or creature is buried. And
Okay.
buried means to destroy without possibility of regeneration. There was a keyword for that for a little while.
Interesting.
Because even though regeneration is like still an ability that's on cards, for some reason there's been this weird internal conflict at R&D for forever where
About
or, like,
how much
in the early
regeneration
days.
they want?
Well, it's like there was always things with regeneration, but then they made all the removal get around it. So much so that they wanted to like shorten the phrase also regeneration doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what buried was. It was just like, oh, don't forget, kids, if you have a creature with regeneration, that does nothing.
Well, I mean, like, it feels like they wanted regeneration to apply to combat.
Yeah.
And then for planeswalkers to just be like, no,
Totally fair.
you
Yeah.
out.
No, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
That's what regeneration is supposed to be.
So check out the flavor text from Plato.
Yeah, early magic flavor text, so sweet.
I mean, aside
A
from
noted Dominarian philosopher.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to point out, aside from the fact that it is, has old art and like explanatory text, I could see them reprinting this now.
This card's totally
Instant?
fair. 5 mana instants to kill creatures. This one has an upside that it's land destruction, but at 5 mana, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little out of color pie.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think
would
now it
say
would be
so,
like
yes.
deal like like
Yeah.
7 damage or something to make sure it's like pretty much you kill everything, right? Because
Sure.
red doesn't do unconditional removal anymore.
Except it usually just has so much damage that's basically unconditional.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like 7.
Yeah.
Or something
Yeah.
dumb.
All right. Controversial card here, Brainwash. It's a 1 white mana enchantment that's like a removal spell, like a pacifism. Target enchanted creature, I guess it's probably the Oracle text, may not attack unless its controller pays 3 generic, in addition to any other costs required for the creature to attack. So,
fairly
this is
cheap
proto
pacifism.
hate bear.
well, it's like pacifism. It's 1 less mana than pacifism to just turn a creature off, which is the one we normally see
Right.
as an aura. But then, yeah, there's a tax effect instead of unconditionally not being able to attack. It also doesn't stop the creature from blocking.
So it's way
Right.
worse than pacifism.
Well, it's 1 mana. That's a big deal. But generally, yeah. I mean, any of the situations you're going to see now where people would choose to play pacifism, they'll just play pacifism instead of Brainwash. Like, I don't think Brainwash is in a lot of EDH decks. As we mentioned earlier, this set's pretty bad.
It's probably not in any EDH decks because 3 mana is trivial in most EDH games.
Okay, this is the last half of the pack is funnier than the first half. We've got Goblin Rock Sled.
Hey, I remember these guys.
Yeah, actually, Deece-ish creature.
Yeah.
I want to say Deece-ish. Cool art, very evocative of what's going on here. Creature type, Rock Sled. So 1 generic and a red mana, summon Rock Sled. It probably just says Creature Goblin on the oracles now. Probably just says Creature Goblin. It's a 3/1 trample, but it may not attack unless the opponent controls at least 1 mountain. And it doesn't untap as normal
that's-
during upkeep if it attacked during your last turn.
I guess if somebody destroys your mountain after you cast it, but like, you cast it, so you're always going to control at least 1 mountain.
No, your opponent has to control a mountain. It's got like not as bad mountain home. Like it's not quite a Leviathan. You can cast it off of your own Mox. That's okay.
Right,
You can
and
be like
it-
Mox Ruby.
And it has to, and
Goblin
it's
Rock
so,
Sled.
and a 3/1 for 2 with a drawback is so good that they need to take a turn off attacking every.
Yeah. Well, it has an upside too. It does have trample. So if you can Blood Moon your opponent into having a mountain, then you've got a 3/1 trample for 2 that doesn't untap.
I remember loving this creature.
Yeah.
And it never worked.
No.
Right?
I mean, it's like a defensive red creature.
I was like, oh wow, amazing, and then you kept going and it kept getting worse.
Yeah. It's like 2 mana, 3/1 trample. It's like, wait, we'll play that today, and then it has 2 drawbacks right after that, unfortunately. But that's cool art. Okay, so Deep Water, the next one in our pretty chill little hammerhead shark here in the art here. 2 blue colorless for an enchantment with just 1 activated ability that's pay a blue, and all mana producing lands you control provide blue instead of their normal mana until end of turn.
It's the blue
For a second, I thought
version
it
of
was
Blood
High
Moon.
Tide. Kind of,
Yeah.
but all it does is fix your mana. Lands you control.
I can finally cast all my Djinns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Look,
except it was double blue to cast.
it's double blue, so you need to get 2 blue in order to have it, and then, yeah.
This card doesn't seem very
And then you
good.
can go down a blue, put a blue into it, and now the rest of your
on.
strip mines now add for blue.
I'm already hitting double blue. How much blue do I need?
That's the
Yeah.
question. Okay, but in case you were wondering about how many of them you should put in your deck, or even this pack, how about a second copy of Deepwater here inside of our
Whoa,
Pack in the
what?
Dark? Because, you need multiples of these on the battlefield in case one of them gets disenchanted.
Feels Batman.
I mean, this pack had a Blood Moon, so I feel like.
Oh, for sure. No, it's just so hilarious that this is what a pack of Magic cards was back in 1994.
Yeah.
Also, like, if
And
you
maybe
asked
my
me,
di-
I don't think I would have been able to guess Blood Moon was the common. I would certainly have been the most excited about Fisher back then, and then I would have looked at the rest of his cards and been like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll want a Blood Moon sometimes.
Maybe my dad was right.
I would have wanted the... I think I would have wanted the Brainwash because it just sounds so cool. All right, the last card in our pack is actually... It's pretty amazing. It looks amazing on the surface. You're just like, whoa, vanilla, 3 generic, 1 green for a 4/5. What is this, Urnum Djinn? It's got no text.
Except it says summon wall.
It says summon wall. Unfortunately, Carnivorous Plant can't attack. It has Defender because in the early days of Magic, if your creature type was wall, that meant you couldn't attack.
But it does have rad Quentin Hoover art.
It has awesome Quentin Hoover art.
Rip in
R.I.P.
peace.
Yeah.
Quentin Hoover.
But
And it has some good flavor text. It had a mouth like that of a great beast and gnashed its teeth as it strained to reach us. I am thankful it possessed no means of locomotion. Oh yeah, the flavor text even tells you this thing's not turning sideways.
for sure. Yeah. So
I mean, that's a heck of a wall.
Yeah, I mean, by today's standard, I'm trying to think if we have like a common vanilla 4-drop 4/5. I mean, there must be, because there's a bunch of things like that in recent sets. But this is basically where the power curve is today. It's like this is either fine to printed common or close to fine, without the wall, green gets. For 4 mana and green, like Cudgel Troll is kind of close to this card.
Yeah, I don't know if they do a 4/5 for 4. They might do like a 4/4.
It's like, what's Cudgel Troll? I think it's like 1 green to regenerate, and it's a 4/3.
Yeah. I know.
For sure, they do a 4/4. There's tons of 4/4 vanillas. So a bunch of Bailoffs. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no. I know that it just hoses the only other creature in this pack.
Yeah. No.
Wow. Yeah.
But you can kill it with the Fissure. So say if you take all 3 red cards out of this pack, you can win. Because you can kill their creature, and then if they have a non-basic land, you can attack every other turn with your Rock Sled.
Okay.
So
That was quite fun.
Yeah. There you go.
Right.
Great pack. Thanks for all the money, Zoltan.
Yeah. Wow. The Blood Moon is super exciting.
Yeah. But it wouldn't go into our
Muldrotha Brawl deck
Which
that
is
we'll
what
be
the
brewing
rest-
up today.
That's what the rest of this podcast is going to be about. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Good transition.
Yeah. Very smooth.
Do we want to put
Buttery.
Carnivorous Plant in there?
No. Well,
I was
it's not
considering doing
legal.
that transition. Oh, right. Brawl is standard. Hey, let's remember that Brawl is standard, everyone. Starting with me.
So Kathleen and I will be playing in an 8-person Brawl event on Midgo on Thursday the 31st
Yes.
of May. And we thought it would be interesting for us to brew up our deck here with you.
Yeah.
Or at least take some good hard looks at what kind of things we want to play in a Muldrotha deck.
I'm here to not be helpful because I'm not much of a brewer, but maybe this could be a lesson for me and people at home who are not great at brewing about how to approach this.
Okay.
I hope that it's okay with everyone, yourself included, that I'm also not amazing at brewing. I don't have any like crucial brews on my resume or anything. I have like a background as a player and a judge, and yeah, I've built a lot of decks. But I think you're supposed to be able to just come at building a Magic deck from out of nowhere and just say like, do I want to play that card? And that's where you start. That's the advice I give at the shop too. It's everyone should be able to.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
A
like,
confidence building exercise. That's what
All
this
right,
is.
confidence building. That's right.
well, let's talk about what Muldrotha is. Muldrotha the Gravetide is a legendary elemental avatar. She is a 6/6, and she casts for 3 generic mana, 1 black, 1 green, and 1 blue. So that'll be our color identity, is Sultai.
Great stats. 6 for a 6/6.
Yeah, it totally passed the vanilla test. However, she has text, and that text reads, during each of your turns, you may play up to 1 permanent of each permanent type from your graveyard. If a card has multiple permanent types, choose one as you play it.
So if you have a regular creature and an artifact creature, you can play the regular creature as a creature, and then the artifact creature is an artifact.
Also, back up here, you may play is terminology that we only use when we're talking about lands and spells. So this card is also Crucible of Worlds,
Yes,
Yeah.
which is like the second of those you can play in Standard right now.
absolutely.
And enchantments are permanents.
Yeah, that's right, enchantments. And if you have flash creatures, it's just during each of your turns. My bad.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
Already
yeah,
I
was
failed to
thinking-
read the card test. I kind of passed it in a sneaky way at the same time, but
I was thinking about like flash enchantments, and then Muldrotha was like, no,
Your
not in my
turns.
contract.
Your turns.
Not in my
Yeah.
contract.
Can I be the color commentator who asks the
Yeah.
really, really high level questions to
Yeah.
let you guys go deep?
Absolutely.
All right,
Are those
so
horns? Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, this lady looks kind of angry.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't. She looks serene and boggy, which is sort of a vibe I aspire to. But so Muldrotha
Perfect.
is a 6-drop, right? And the sooner you get her out, the better she is. Also, with Brawl, like Commander, every time you have to recast her from the command zone, it's another 2 mana. So how important is mana ramp in a deck like this? Like, do you want to get Muldrotha on the ground sooner rather than later? Do you want to spend your early turns building up?
So I was thinking about this a little bit before we started the podcast too, and I think in general, it's good for Brawl decks and Commander decks to have some mana ramp. But I think with Muldrotha specifically, I think what you want your main goal with this Commander to be is to make all of your land drops for the whole game. So I think we want our land count to start at, I want to say at least 25.
Yeah,
Maybe like 28.
I was definitely thinking something very high like
Gets
that.
to play some utility lands, obviously. There's lots of good utility lands in Standard now. and just try to make sure that you play every single land drop, and maybe you have a few mana ramp cards if you can find some other utility for
Right,
it.
because any kind of like mana ramp, like instants and sorceries they're just like non-bows with Muldrotha anyhow.
That's true, and also, yeah, like since we're playing so many lands, because I think it's a good idea to play lots and lots of lands with this commander, and since you're doing that, you then don't have as many spots left in your 60 cards where you can put cards that also only aim to make mana and then still have enough gas, enough like because you want a certain number of cards that'll win you the game and advance your game plan as well.
So what we want is lands that like do things. Like at the very basic, you want like Terramorphic Expanse or whatever.
Or Evolving Wilds.
Evolving Wilds is what's
Yes.
in standard right now.
Yeah, and so mana bases in Brawl can be a bit hairy, especially for the 3-color commanders.
Right.
Because you only have access to the lands in Standard. So what we're looking at right now are the check lands.
Yeah.
From
And
Dominaria, yeah.
yeah, from Dominaria. And no, we have all 10 check lands now, don't we? Because the enemy-colored ones were printed in Dominaria, and the allied-colored ones were printed in Ixalan.
I think
That's
so,
right.
yeah.
That's right. So you
Yeah.
have all 10 check lands you can play, as well as right now in Standard, you can play the cycling duels from Amonkhet.
Oh, I
Right.
would like to play the cycling duels because then you can just throw them away early in the game and then get them back later.
Very
Yep.
clever.
Yep.
We'll probably do that. There's only one we get to play in this color scheme because they're allied colors,
Well,
unfortunately.
it's something.
We'll play it though for sure. And then we also get from Kaladesh the fast lands of the enemy color persuasion.
Yeah, so Botanical, Sanctum,
And we get 2 of those, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for sure we want to play all those rare duels.
Yeah.
And then lands at uncommon we're interested in. I think the memorials.
Yeah, those seem like great because they're like spells and lands.
Yeah. Well, I think we want to play the blue one for sure. And then the black one, yeah, I guess. It's like,
It returns something from your...
Great.
Yeah.
I think the
I feel
black
like with
one's
the-
kind of like redundant to
a little
Muldrotha.
bit, I wanted to say that. Yeah, it's like if you get to a situation where, you have just so much mana that you can afford to cast a creature from your graveyard, then crack your black land from your graveyard, get another creature, cast that, and then replay your black memorial, then maybe. And then the green one's kind of the same thing, right? It gets a creature out of your library. You know what? Actually, no, the green one's a little better than the black one, right? The black one actually is redundant because like whatever your best creature from your graveyard is,
You just gotta
Muldrotha can
cast it
already
with
cast
Muldrotha.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the green one gives you more options, the same as the blue one. So let's say we're playing the blue and the green memorials.
I mean, it's too bad
So-
you don't put those cards into your graveyard for Muldrotha.
Memorial to Genius and Memorial to Unity.
But that's probably Memorial to Unity would
I
be
think
way
we're
too
gonna-
good if you put the cards into your
Yeah,
graveyard.
I think we're gonna be able to get there. Like I think there's enough kind of cycling through your deck options in Standard right now. But we
What
should be
about
all right?
what about the deserts? Since we'll be able to return them to play, we
Very
can have
good.
a lot of things like Scavenger Grounds.
Well, I like Ipnu Rivulet a lot in this deck. Yeah, Scavenger Grounds is an interesting call. It's got a pretty huge drawback
I mean,
for us. I think
yeah,
Scavenger Grounds
yeah,
is one
sorry,
we're
I
going to
was
see on
just
the opposing
thinking-
side of the table.
Yeah, no,
But, I mean,
you're right. I
could-
was just so used to kind of having Scavenger Grounds around.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, we might want to play it just as a emergency Muldrotha mirror tech, and
Maybe.
if we find that our mana base can handle the colorless source, I think the one we're going to look at the most is Field of Ruin.
Yes,
in terms
Field
of
of Ruin's
colorless,
super good.
colorless lands for this deck, because that one helps us deal with. I mean, can't it just eventually destroy? Oh, it only gets non-basics. But I mean, we could get in a long game scenario, we could get our opponent down to only basic lands.
Yeah. What about like Haship Oasis?
Which one's
Is that the one
Oh,
where you
green
sacrifice
pump
to
one?
add
Yeah.
add power or
Yeah.
whatever?
I think we should come back to it.
Okay.
But
if
but
near
maybe,
Deadlands,
yeah. If near Deadlands, that one kills a creature, right?
Yeah, it puts counters on things.
Yeah,
So-
if Near Deadlands is probably the best of the
With a
desert cycle, I
yeah,
think.
with a 6-drop commander that is like inherently all about card advantage, I think the If Near Deadlands is more up the alley of this deck than the green Haship Oasis.
Fair. Okay, yeah.
So I think we should include it.
Yeah,
for
because
Deadlands, then.
let me just check from a judge's point of view to ask the stupid questions for people who are less good at Magic, aka me. I can, if I have Muldrotha, can I like play a land from my hand and then use her ability to play a land from my graveyard?
No.
But so
Unless
I
you
can't,
have
like,
something else on the table that lets you play two lands.
So I can't like super ramp out stuff, but like I can sacrifice my If Near Deadlands if I have a lot of mana, kill a 2/2, or put or shrink something.
Shrink a 4/4, yeah.
You know, and then replay my If Near Deadlands and maybe sacrifice again and turn it into like a 6 mana deal 4 damage to target, or put 4 -1/-1 counters on target creature, which is not the worst thing in the universe.
It's like 9 mana, but yes, you can totally do it.
Oh, it is
You have to
9
pay
mana.
4 and tap and sacrifice this thing.
Yeah.
Or sorry, you can
A
sacrifice
desert.
any desert, but you have to
But
tap.
you'd
tap to
sacrifice
the
this
Deadlands,
thing
yeah.
if you have Muldrotha.
I'm also
So,
going.
hey, sometimes you just want,
Yeah.
you just,
No, and for that reason, I definitely think we should play this card. And probably both the cycling deserts, or what?
Yeah,
yes.
I was thinking, or yeah,
Yeah.
both or
Oh, 3. Sorry, 3. All
3.
3.
Yeah,
Right, yeah. Sure.
So Desert of the Mindful, Desert of the
Smart.
brain,
Yeah.
Desert of the
Indomitable.
Indomitable, and Desert of the Glorified.
Glorified. Oh, I see. They're all named after the gods. That makes sense. Look at us remembering names of magic cards. Okay, and then, I mean, we just chose a lot of utility lands.
which is going to slow us down a bit.
That's okay, but I think from here, I mean, I'm looking at the list, and I think we're probably just fleshing it out with basics.
Yeah, so we've got Blooming Marsh, Botanical Sanctum, Drowned Catacomb, Fetid Pools, Hinterland Harbor, Memorial to Genius, Memorial to Unity, Woodland Cemetery, Field of Ruin, Foul Orchard, If Near Deadlands, Ipnu Rivulet, Submerged Boneyard, Woodland Stream, because I put in the
Yeah, you put in the
uncommon.
tap duels. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Desert of the Mindful, Desert of the Indomitable, and Desert of the Glorified.
Yep.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
We can play Evolving Wilds,
Yep.
can't we?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would put
It's in
Evolving
Ixalan, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Because I feel like with this, you want to be able to fix for like that third color of basic.
So 18, and then what? 10, no,
9? What's 18 plus 9 is...
17 or 27?
27?
27 lands, really?
Well, your Commander's a 6-drop that lets you play lands out of your graveyard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to start with 25 and then see where we go, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You want to just maybe add... sorry, was that
18.
7 basics?
Yeah, 7 basics. So
Okay.
Okay, so
Maybe 3 green... Sorry, 3 forest to...
2 island, 2 swamp.
That's a guess. We might come back and tweak that,
Yeah.
right?
So,
Okay.
so it's interesting. You know, you were talking about the that you want to hit your land drops every turn, but with all the cycling and the sacked lands, your land drop might not actually be a land that you drew, right?
Yes.
Your land drop for the turn could have been a land that you played earlier and sacked, and now you're pulling. Like it could be
Yeah.
the Evolving Wilds that you dropped. that
Absolutely. Or you
played
could play
before.
the Desert of the Mindful that you already cycled out of your graveyard.
Yeah. Because you didn't need it then, and then you can get it
I mean,
later.
that's an important, especially those cycling deserts, that's an important consideration when you're building this mana base. We've included 3 lands that, especially in the first 6 turns, we're going to be really happy, maybe the whole game even, just not using them as a land immediately. And then after we have our commander, they might be our spell and a land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because they have the spell functionality, I think you can look at your mana base and say like, oh, 27, it's not really 27, right? It's like 25 and a half or something.
Okay.
Okay.
What a great discussion we're having. I feel like I'm learning more already.
Great.
All right,
Yeah.
so now,
Okay.
another stupid question.
Awesome.
So we have Muldrotha. Her whole thing is you can play creatures. So we've got a way to guarantee that we can play creatures that we draw. And since we can recycle our creatures, fairly endlessly, is the name of the game like ETB effects, like creatures that make us value? And so when we play them over and over again, they're even better for us, right? Like I'm talking about your Tendershoe Dryads of the world and stuff like that, because that's good.
Right.
Buffs
yeah.
your team.
I mean,
There's-
Tendershoe Dryad sounds really cool in this. The other,
And it's a removal magnet, and then you can get it back again.
the other effects I was thinking of were, I really want to do story time with Muldrotha
Okay. Yeah.
and just run sagas.
Sure.
Because we can get them back quite easily. Things like Song of Frailes.
Oh yeah,
are
that'd be really
nutty.
bonkers in this deck. The second Song of Frailes, how backbreaking is that?
Yeah. Things like Phyrexian Scriptures, I think, are probably quite good.
It just exiles your opponent's graveyard,
Yeah,
right?
for those of
Yes.
you who are catching up, Song of Frailes is a saga. For the first 2 turns, it's until your next turn, creatures you control get tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So that's really cool because can do it on your opponent's turn. And then on the third, then it pops off on the third turn and says, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. These creatures gain vigilance, trample, and indestructible until end of turn, helpfully removing any mathematical and thought from your flunge. You're like, okay, they all attack.
They all have indestructible and vigilance, so
Yeah.
everything must flunge.
Yeah, and they're all slightly bigger after that. And then can you imagine, Song of Freyalise goes, and then you bring back Song of Freyalise?
Yeah.
That's backbreaking. That's miserable.
Also,
Watch out for Settle the Wreckage.
One thing Adam pointed out to me that combos really strongly with Song of Freyalise is Josu Ves.
haven't
Josu
played
Vest,
with Josu
Lich
Vest
Knight.
yet.
So 2 colorless and 2 black for a legendary creature zombie knight. He's a 4/5 menace. There you go. He's the stacked. He's the carnivorous plant. 4 mana, 4/5. They have to make him a rare legendary.
Yeah.
But yeah, 4/5 menace. But also, if you kicked him when he ETBs, you make 8 2/2 menaces.
But the kick, that's 9 mana. Because no, that's more. That's 10.
10.
Yeah.
10
Because the kicker is
mana.
5 and a black.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 7 black. But he literally brings
20
the boys
power.
to the yard.
Makes 20 power if you
Yeah.
have 10 mana for him. He's pretty good with Muldrotha.
Because you can play him
You can
as
play
a 4/5.
kicker. You're casting them, right? Like you're
Yeah.
casting spells from your graveyard, so you can just play the kickers.
So you can play him as a 4/5 when you get him, when he's very good. And
Yeah.
then he can get in and do his business. And then he comes back when you have 10 mana.
Yep.
Like the worst thing your opponent
all the
can do
boys.
is not kill him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, okay, he can be like, and he's got menace, so it's like double the abyss.
Yeah.
Double abyss.
Yeah, I like it.
And all the little
Josu-
dudes he makes have menace as well. Like
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah,
miserable.
kicking it's pretty.
Yeah,
pretty great.
I feel like the R&D thing was like, if you can kick this, you win the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oftentimes they'll
We're not
give you
screwing
pretty,
around.
pretty strong abilities for 10 mana. He's sort of like a standard new version of what's the one? Army of the Damned.
Yeah.
Right? It's just
Yeah.
like this is a very large amount of mana, so you get a very large amount of zombies.
Yes.
So I also want to put in the Mending of Dominaria.
Right. So I was thinking about the mending when you mentioned sagas, and I feel like the mending is an interesting kind of like, sort of scavenger grounds, right? Like a sort of risky one to play.
So the Mending of Dominar is a 5 mana legendary saga, 3 and 2 green. Its first 2 chapters read, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. The third chapter says, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield and shuffle your graveyard into your library. So
It gives you this weird card advantage temporary graveyard zone, right? Where you can...
like does this work, or is this a non-bow for us?
It's got some risk associated with it.
It's kind of a non-bow.
I think you should play it though. I've come around on it because the last ability is so good.
It's such a huge
gonna,
ramp.
We're gonna try to get a bunch of lands into our graveyard with this deck anyway. So if you can just like get them all on the battlefield, Muldrotha loves that, right? Like
Yeah, because-
Muldrotha, she's so mana hungry, right?
Yeah. She'll take as much mana as you can feed her.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you can cast creatures in your hand that you've drawn and creatures that died, right? So like ideally you can cast 2 really good creatures a turn, or like 1 sort of relevant creature and the best creature that died your opponent was forced to trade off for. So the more mana the better.
And the first 2 steps are sort of powering up Muldrotha anyway for this one too.
Right.
There's the 2 top cards of your library going to your graveyard, and there's probably stuff you can cast off of that in addition to the creature coming back to your hand.
Yeah,
I
there's
think
no
this lets
whiff
you
mode in
powerfully.
this.
I think this lets you powerfully sculpt
Right.
your.
I mean, it would be great if the third ability let you choose how many cards go back into your library from your graveyard.
Yeah, because
but
the problem is this turns off like all of the creatures that have died in the 3 turns. Because like then you don't have anything to cast from Muldrotha.
yeah, like say you pass with 2 counters on it, and then on your opponent's turn, they remove all your creatures, and then you're just relying then on top decks, Muldrotha,
Yeah.
and whatever you had in your hand, which is probably going to be fine. We're going to be a big card advantage deck, so I think it's good. It
Yeah.
draws a bunch of cards and ramps us. So
I
we should
would
play.
like this better if it was just return all land cards from your graveyard
Sure.
to your battlefield. You may return.
Right.
But that's way too powerful.
I kind of like the plan actually of this Muldrotha. I don't know if it works with your first plan of doing story time, but I kind of like the idea of us being able to mill ourselves a whole bunch and then ensure that we don't mill out.
Yeah.
Play some kind of like
some
end-game recycling plan so that
yeah,
we can win a war of attrition into our opponents milling out, right?
Well, we have isn't there a time twister effect in Standard right now?
I think there is, but does it exile? So there's commit to memory, but memory exiles itself.
Right.
Excuse me,
Paul's
sorry.
gonna bring that up because
Yeah.
I don't, and we'll read that card.
It's a good card, though. We might want to play it.
So commit is instant for 3 and a blue. Put target spell or non-land permanent into its owner's library, second from top. And memory is the aftermath, which is 4 and blue, which is each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into his library and then draws 7 cards. Sorry, I was reading that sideways.
Yeah, I know, it's great.
I mean,
right? We all did
that's
it.
the
We
great
all
thing
did
when
it.
when you're playing in paper and you draw an aftermath card
And then you
or a
tilt your
split
head.
card,
Yeah.
and you tilt your head and your opponent writes far and away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Target player looks like confused puppy.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of split cards, we probably want to play Spring to Mind in this deck.
Oh, okay.
I know we were like talking about which land ramp cards to play, and this one's like kind of cute. It's in 2 colors. It does most of what our deck wants to do. It has with Muldrotha, everything has aftermath.
Yeah.
Right? Also with Muldrotha, it's just permanent types. My bad.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
sorry, you
like-
can't just keep playing sorceries with her.
But it's fine to like get this into your bin.
Yeah, we'll be
Tend to
playing a
draw
lot of
2
things
cards.
that
We
that-
might play a bunch of self mill, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
We're
we
not
should
playing
be-
Homered Explorer though, are we?
I think we want to play things like Champion of Wits and
Yeah.
the Amonkhet Liliana.
Okay. Yeah, those both sound good. We already included Ipnir Rivulet, right? But you were gonna tell us about more stories, maybe. Are there more stories we want to play?
I want to run Phyrexian Scriptures.
Okay. Yeah, I think you should throw
Which
that.
one is that one?
It is the one where the first chapter. Okay, Phyrexian Scriptures is 2 and 2 black for a saga. Chapter 1 reads, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That creature becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. Chapter 2, destroy all non-artifact creatures.
Interesting.
Chapter 3, exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. So it exalts one of your creatures, it kills everything else, then it double kills everything else.
Yeah. Get out.
Yeah, no, all the way. All the way.
But the key thing being that it only exiles your opponent's graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you just start. Ideally, Muldrotha is not out at this point, but
Or you put the counter on Muldrotha.
oh right,
You might do that.
so that protects her.
Yeah, and then it blows away all of your creatures so that you can cast them again, hopefully with ETB effects, because I really do like the ETB effect thing.
I mean, you could even just throw this thing out as like a, slow Wrath of God effect before you've cast your Muldrotha. Even if you don't get any value out of the first chapter, it's like you play it and then the next you untap on your next turn and then you have a Wrath of God.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good include for this deck for sure.
Yeah, the other one that I wanted to look at was
Real quick,
the Eldest Reborn.
I noticed that this card mentions all opponents' graveyards, and before we got started, I meant to ask for this tournament that you guys are playing coming up, are you playing multiplayer Brawl or 1v1 Brawl?
I believe it's 1v1.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay,
yes.
great. So we're brewing for 1v1 Brawl.
So
Okay.
we're starting at 20 life now, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the rule change.
Brawl has been banned.
Brandle.
Yeah, okay, so Eldest
Baral has
Reborn.
been brand.
Yeah.
So for 5 mana with Eldest Reborn, you get to make your opponent sacrifice a creature or planeswalker. I like that first one because like you're a control deck, so you want options against other control decks. You're going to run into other planeswalkers, so
right.
you want removal for them. Now they get to pick, but it's 5 mana, so if you've just untapped after Scriptures, there might not be any creatures on their side, so then you can make them sacrifice a planeswalker
Yeah.
if they have a planeswalker.
Yeah.
Like you can try to set that up. With
Or
those
like
two.
you play this like they're like, okay, well I'll start rebuilding my board, and you're like,
Sure. Yeah.
no.
And then the second chapter is each opponent discards a card. And the third chapter is put target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. This is pretty great because you play with your opponent's toys.
Here's
Right.
my read on this. Is like the first one is like you get their worst creature.
Yeah.
Then they
discard a
discard
card,
an irrelevant card usually, or sometimes
Sure.
you really get them at 5 mana, and then you get something cool back. The first one is pretty good because it's just all value things all stitched together. The second one is amazing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
When this comes back again, ideally after the first one is just resolved, it is backbreaking because now your opponent has to hope there's not easy choices to be made here.
Yep. I think like the first saga might not be the greatest thing, but
Right.
if you just keep casting them,
Yeah.
right? Like I think you're just going to wind up hammering your opponents.
Yeah, in my experience with Dominaria draft, The first Eldest Reborn is like, okay, fine, that's
You
a
can
good
deal
card.
with it, yeah.
It's annoying, but it's not backbreaking. The second one is like, I am not going to win this game.
Right.
I'm dead.
Is the Rite of Belzenlock?
I love the art on this card, and I'm going to push hard for it to be included, whether it's good or not.
So I
Okay.
mean, you got like the sacrifice outlet that, and then bring them back, which is sort of a thing. But I mean, at that
Yeah.
point, a 6/6 demon is not actually like if you've got Muldrotha out, she's already a 6/6. So
But this one flies and tramples.
Didn't
that's
they-
true.
And you make another one 2 turns later.
Yeah.
I'm worried that there's going to be enchantment removal in this format other than just cast out.
Oh,
Like,
there's
I'm-
absolutely going to be enchantment removal in this format.
Sorry, I mean enchantment-based creature removal. I mean, like, I'm worried that you're going to get your 6/6 demon creature pacified, and then like end up because
Well, what we should have
this
then
card's
is...
a little risky. Is all.
Yeah. No,
And
no,
also-
that's fair. It's like running good old-fashioned Lord of the Pit.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure. That's
Lord of
who-
the Pit's
who we're-
hungry.
Yeah.
And it's the trick is the token creatures are not super compatible with Muldrotha because they're not going to be going to your graveyard.
You can cast the saga again though.
That's true.
I guess.
But like the little dudes that it makes and the
Yeah.
I'm a little bit down on Rite of Belzenlock. I don't think it's right for this deck. What I would rather just run is Belzenlock.
Sure.
Demon Lord Belzenlock? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very good.
Okay.
He's a powerful boy.
Yeah, he's a good one. He's also is he only 6 mana?
Yeah.
Also a 6/6 for 6.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he tutors.
Yes. So you get that returnable. Like he's got the ETB effect that you can get going.
Yeah.
Or
What does
not
he do?
tutors, but,
what does he do with the lands he exiles? They just stay exiled? 4/9
Yeah.
trample. Okay, so we're reading Belzenlock. It's 4 generic and 2 black for a legendary creature, Elder Demon. 6/6 flying trample, and when he enters the battlefield, exile cards from top of your library until you exile a non-land card. So when he exiles lands, they just stay in exile. Then put that card in your hand. If the card's converted mana cost is 4 or greater, repeat this process. Demon Lord Belzenlock deals 1 damage to you for each card put into your hand. This
Boy,
way.
that's aggressively like costed. 1 damage. It's not even damage equal to CMC.
No, it's great. Yeah, it just draws you some number of spells, at least 1.
In my experience, it's you usually hit it. Well, then again, I've been playing this in like not such a land heavy deck.
Right.
Whereas this is a bit this is a little worse when you're playing heavily weighted towards lands because you've got more chance of exiling just like 2 or 3 land before you hit a spell. But my experience is more just like you maybe get 1 land off the top and then whatever the next spell is.
Sure. And sometimes you'll draw 2 cards or 3 cards or whatever. right?
Yeah.
That can happen.
Yeah.
All right. So Demon Lord Belzenlock gets in.
Are you guys sure?
I like him.
I'm not a huge fan just because we're playing like the Rivulet and the Field of Ruin, and I was more married to the idea of like this is going to be this self-milled deck that can grind your opponent out.
No, that's also
But
reasonable.
I mean, I feel
Why
a
don't we play
6/6
this, you know?
flying trample also grinds your opponent
absolutely
down in a
it does.
different
No,
way.
absolutely. And this is a good card, so we should probably just include it because it's good. And you'll have some games where the Rivulet gets there, and some games where Belzenlock gets there.
So
Wait, well, like, I mean, isn't that kind of always the predicament with Standard? Is that some decks, like, just wind up being piles of good cards?
Sure, yeah. It's okay to have multiple game plans, though, right? It's okay, and you might even have a game where you do end up figuring out that your best way to win is to
Punch them in the
find.
air.
Sure, or vice versa. Your best way to win might be to find Ipnu Rivulet.
Right.
In which case, you might consider not casting Belzenlock if it's like in a weird board state where he wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure. I can't think of exactly what that would be, but there you have it. You have options when you play games of Magic.
So does the Rite of Belzenlock doesn't actually summon Belzenlock? It
No.
like tries to summon him and then just gets like some random Lord of the Pit instead.
Yeah.
Because Belzenlock is not a Lord, like he doesn't have that sack ability.
No.
That's right.
Or-
he
I mean, it's,
doesn't
it's
demand
like a shadow of Belzenlock.
Yeah, he doesn't demand that much tribute.
Maybe it's like Belzenlock is the one who commissioned this rite. Maybe it's like he's the one who like
Ooh, yeah.
he wrote the steps of this rite. It's like, oh, okay, my clerics gather together. We're gonna do this thing, and you are all gonna summon this demon. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
You like
You'll,
him.
you'll like him.
You'll like him.
I
You
know
like
he'll
me.
like you.
That's right. He'll
right.
love you. Yeah.
Also,
Make sure you're wearing your ceremonial barbecue sauce.
yes. I also want to include Time of Ice.
Okay. Solid removal spell.
Yeah.
I was gonna suggest Blink of an Eye in this deck.
I like Blink of an Eye a
Blink of an
lot.
Eye, yeah.
I feel like enchantment-based removal is really good in this deck because if they ever get rid of it, then you can just bring it back because you can play permanents, right?
Yeah.
Great.
My other question is Chainer's Torment.
Chainer's Torment.
I don't like that one as much, but we'll read
I,
it.
I love the
to refresh
artwork
us.
on it. And
So
I
it's-
love like just having story time.
Right, it's another saga, so it's 4 mana again, 3 colorless and a black. The first 2 chapters deal damage to your opponent, you gain life. And then the third one makes you lose your life, and you get a big nightmare horror.
You get a vanilla XX.
Right.
I think this card is okay.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
Okay.
I'm not sure how playing multiples of this card works out. And if you
Yeah.
end up in some kind of race scenario,
Then this is bad, actively bad.
I think so, right? Like, say, you play the first one. Say you play the first one when you're at 16. So then when it resolves, you make a 10-10 and you're at 10. And your opponent is now maybe at 16 if you haven't done anything else to them, right? Because you made them take 2 twice. So that's okay. And then you play another one, and then your 10-10 gets dealt with. Your opponent's at 16, you take them down to 12, and you go back up to 14, and then you make a 7-7, and now you're at 7. And this is where I start to get a little worried because, again, you've got a creature that's kind of easy to deal with. It doesn't have, like, flying.
Evasion.
Yeah, or any hexproof or anything like that.
Yeah,
And
unlike
it keeps costing you half your life every time. So that's why I'm a little nervous.
unlike the other sagas, this one doesn't get better the second time or third time you
No,
cast
it actually gets
Right.
worse. Every single time is like for less impact, ideally, because your life total is lower.
You know who I really like for this deck is Channeler Initiate.
Oh yeah.
I'm taking
yeah,
a huge left turn, but sorry, do we want to
No,
talk
no,
about
I-
any more sagas that we're into? Time of Ice, we all kind of just agreed was a good
Yeah,
one.
it was a good one.
Yeah.
That's
And then we
taps
got
target creature, and then it doesn't untap, and then it
Yeah,
when
and we
it goes
grabbed
off, it
2
returns tap creatures.
right, and we got 2 green sagas that we like. We got the Rite of Bells and Luck is a question mark. Maybe we're not playing it. Okay,
I thought we
but
agreed
we've got
that we
2
weren't
other
playing.
black sagas that we like, and we've
Right.
got at least 1 blue saga. So we've got colors of sagas.
I like Channeler Initiate because ideally she comes in and you dump the counters on something else and then replay it with Muldrotha, and you get a 3/4 for 2.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you can do that in the later game. In the early, for sure, on turn 2, you just want to make another Llanowar Elves, right? Like the Channeler Initiate can bring down your bigger boys in the early game. So ramp cards are good in this deck, but also it's a permanent. And yeah, in the later game, it maybe helps you just like put the counters on something that will then die as soon as you put the counters on it, and then you can replay that thing.
Yeah, like I like Channeler Initiate because it's sort of like it gives you a relevant body later in the game too. You can upgrade from like you can get rid of like a 2/2 or 2/1 or something that's
Yeah.
like totally, or like a Sapperling token,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
You know, or like what is the Sap Herder that
Right.
makes a 1/1 when it comes in, and it's a 3-drop. So you like put the Channeler Initiate tokens on that while we're talking about Magical Christmas Land. Then you replay that with Muldrotha, and then you have a 3/4, your 2/2 back, and now you have another Sapperling.
Right.
Magical
Okay.
Christmas Land.
And you can
Why
dump
not?
you can dump all 3 counters on a 1/1 or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it can only ever target 1 creature.
yeah, but like you don't have to put it on the Channeler Initiate, but you can, and it's still perfectly good.
Speaking of Llanowar Elves, I noticed they're already on your list, but we
Yes.
haven't mentioned them. So Llanowar Elves reprinted in Dominaria, one of the best ramp spells of all time. We're going to play that.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm wondering if we want to play another one of our Prowling Serpapard.
What
Okay.
does Prowling Serpapard do again?
1 green for a 4/3 cat snake.
Wait, we revealed this card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were saying another one of your...
Yeah, our spoiler cards.
spoiler cards,
This
yeah.
spell can't be countered. Creature spells you control can't be countered.
I like it.
Okay.
Ah, that's great because then the graveyard value train doesn't stop as long as Serpapard's on the board.
Yep.
Also, we get to play a very long cat.
Yes, the longest cat.
This card's pretty great. Like, it's cool that you guys revealed it, but it's actually just great.
Yeah.
You know, this a giant dead turtle is not.
I like that they like there was all discussion. It's like no, a Serpapard is like a real, or not a real thing, but it is a previously known mythical animal.
Yes.
It wasn't just something WotC made up as like a serpent leopard.
Another creature I want to play is Death Gorge Scavenger.
Ooh, yeah.
So this is kind of like Scavenging Dinosaur. I mean, that's literally
I
what
just
its name
played
is.
against this last
It's a 3/2 for 2 and a green. It is a dinosaur. Whenever Death Gorge Scavenger enters the battlefield or attacks, you may exile target card from a graveyard. If a creature card is exiled in this way, you gain 2 life. If a non-creature card is exiled this way, Death Gorge Scavenger gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
It's a really good card. It fills a lot of kind of important removal niches, just attacking the graveyard and gaining life.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's a graveyard.
Yeah.
So you can throw stuff out of your graveyard that's not relevant. Right?
If you're not going to bring something back with Muldrotha, you can
Yeah.
just pump him.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
And
turn your
or
creatures
gain
into life
life.
points. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. Or you can get stuff out of your opponent's graveyard.
Should we also play the dinosaur ramp human? Would that be fun?
How many dinosaurs are we running?
Well, it's a 2-mana 1/1 that can tap for any color all the time. It always does that. And then if you have a dinosaur, it gets +2/+2.
Oh, Drover of the Mighty?
Yes, Drover of the
Okay,
Mighty.
yeah,
I'm
sure.
I'm just thinking about this day. You know, we mentioned land ramp before, but you had written down land elves, and then I thought of Chandler Initiation. It's kind of like if you play creatures that are also land ramp, it's kind of just good because they can come back with Muldrotha. Like, you know, this guy,
This is multi-purpose.
he's another, you know, the Song of Frailes will make him bigger, even if you don't have a dinosaur.
Yep.
So, and you're going to want, you know, in your 60-card deck, like,
You're going to need some creatures.
we need some, well, yeah, we need just some early plays.
You've got to
Yeah.
stay alive.
Yeah. So, I like this guy, he taps for a black, you know.
What about, this is veering hard left again.
That's okay.
What about Thrashing Brontodon?
Oh, yeah, I really wanted him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Just because you...
It, all singing, all dancing.
Yeah, then bring
Thrashing
him
Brontodon's
back.
an important
He's
one.
great. He's got good stats. He's a 3/4 for 3. And you can sacrifice him to destroy artifact or enchantment.
That's exactly what we're looking for in this deck.
That's good value, right? Repeatable artifact and enchantment removal. And like other people are going to be running sagas, other people are going to be running relevant artifacts. There's some very good artifacts.
Speaking of good artifacts that we might want to play,
Yeah.
and the cards will just do everything. How about Walking Ballista for this deck? Seems
Yes, yes,
Seems like
yes,
it's
yes.
a 2-drop. You can play it on turn 2 to block your opponent's undercosted, you know, vampires that are attacking you or whatever. And then later game, you can just win with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Walking Ballista is an XX, 2 sets of generic mana in its casting cost. It's an artifact creature. Comes into play with X +1/+1 counters. It has 2 abilities. One of them is remove a +1/+1 counter from Walking Ballista to deal 1 damage to a creature or player. And the other one is pay 4 generic, put a +1/+1 counter on Walking Ballista.
And it deals
So-
1 damage to target creature or player as well.
Yeah, it's like a
So good.
standard powerhouse and also gets played in some eternal formats.
So yeah, you can pop it off early, get something out of the way, bring it back when you have more mana.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tasty,
I'm
tasty.
all for it.
In terms of dinos, there's the Territorialosaurus
right.
too. He's got that kicker, which is handy.
Yeah, Territorialosaurus is
It
another
gets
good
me
call.
Alidocious.
Kind of like,
And if he's and
I
you
was
could
trying
just
to make that work for the nickname podcast.
Wow.
sorry, I turned into Chewbacca on that one.
you could and you know, even if he's going up against something huge and he just dies from the fight, he can just come back again.
Yeah, you might even get to the amount of mana where you can just play him twice in a row or whatever.
Okay.
Let's all dream big.
I mean, we're let's plan for a vacation in magical Christmas land, and then we've reached for the stars. Then maybe in the finalizing thing we can scale it back to like delightful autumn times.
What do we think about playing other planeswalkers?
Yeah,
I was thinking
I
like
like that you
Nissa,
have the list.
Steward of Elements, and Vraska, Relic Seeker.
Vraska Relic Seeker is very good.
I like those two a lot.
Like Vraska is another all singing, all dancing.
Yeah.
I like Nissa a lot because even as a 3-drop, you can put her down, give her 3 loyalty, hopefully buy some life. I'm not worried about this deck having enough to do once it gets to past 6 mana.
No, this deck is like once it's finally at 6 mana, it's like woohoo, choo
Yeah.
choo.
I think we should like main deck Duress. Maybe. I'm like more concerned with getting, or I don't. Sorry, are there any creatures in standard right now that are like early that are early game removal in themselves? I know Red has that Mog Fanatic, but I'm not sure if there's like a Ravenous Rats or something like that right now. We can maybe be playing the 2 black mana 2/3 Death Touch Lifelink Vampire. That's a pretty good one. Etherborn.
Yeah.
I was
more
also
rogue?
thinking
No.
we also just need to run Chupacabra.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a 4-drop.
absolutely.
But yeah.
But
Let's play it.
it's so good.
Absolutely.
It's never
thingy.
not good.
Gifted Etherborn. There we go.
Gifted Etherborn. Thank you.
Yeah, that's also just a very solid card.
So are we?
Our mana base sucks. But
No,
that's okay.
no, I don't think it does actually. Most of the creatures and spells in general that we've been wanting to play are skewing, I think, right now towards black and green with blue as a splash. That's what I'm imagining. I know we don't have like a picture of the deck right in front of us. We just have this conversation and a small notepad file, but I think we can just aim to have our deck be, first 4 turns is a black-green deck, and then by the time we get to Muldrotha, we're adding in blue, and then we also have access to blue for some other things. But
like other instants and sorceries early game, do we want to be playing? What are the what's the generic name for the green spells that like look at the top 4?
we usually just call them ponders. I think it's kind of like an
Yeah.
ancient stirrings or whatever. I guess is closer. But yeah, I really like the current one that just came out in Dominaria.
I always
I forget
forget
what it's
what's
called too.
available.
It's a green ponder. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah. It's like something.
it's like going on a journey.
Yeah. It's kind of like a person walking into a field.
Yeah,
I can
sorry.
picture the card.
I've also forgotten what it's called. Look at us. We all play Magic the Gathering.
Is it turn your turn?
No. It's
No,
from
although, hey,
Dominaria.
should we play this one? This one's kind of neat.
It is kind of neat.
It
I was
turns into a
looking at it.
land.
It does turn into a land. I was also thinking about like, search for Escanta, which finds no.
Search for Escanta is pretty great
I don't-
because it puts cards in your graveyard.
I don't think I want to play this because it's sort of
Yeah, it's fair. It's
sort
just
of
it's
Muldrotha
just-
2, but
yeah.
slower.
What about
Adventurous Impulse.
thank
That's
you,
it.
Yes.
Adventurous Impulse. So we should include this for sure. It's the new version of Oath of Nissa, right? Look at the top, 1 green mass sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land from among them, put it in your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So unfortunately, it doesn't put any cards in our graveyard,
That would be too good.
but it gets a land or a creature, which in this deck it looks like so far it's usually going to hit.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're going to play some sorceries and instants to make sure that we have a smooth enough curve. Like,
Exactly.
that's going to be okay.
Like-
And we
Hit-
need to
hitting-
play something before we start, before we hit 6 mana.
yeah.
We need to stay alive.
What about any explore creatures?
Yeah, I really like the one that explores twice for 3 mana.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna
Yeah,
suggest
Jade-
that.
Jade Light Ranger?
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of land in our deck.
Also,
So it
Hidana's
thins
Climb.
the land
Sorry,
out.
from the same.
Oh yeah, Hadana's Climb. Yeah.
Yeah, in the same. Oh, Gaia's Blessing just got reprinted in Standard. That's hilarious. I don't think we have any. I mean, we can't play 2 of them. Although we can play Gaia's Blessing and we can play the Mending of Dominaria, and that actually, assuming both of those resolve, that gives us the late game lock that I was talking about.
So what does
yeah.
Gaia's Blessing do again, or Gaia's Blessing?
Gaia's Blessing is a sorcery for 1 and a green. Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard into their library. Draw a card. When
Okay.
Gaia's Blessing is put into your graveyard from your library, shuffle your graveyard into your library.
So we don't mill ourselves out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's great tech against your opponent trying to mill you out, but it actually, like the Mending of Dominaria, also has a potential downside, and you might not even see this one coming if we're playing. Like, say you have a Nissa, or not Nissa, Liliana activation that mills you a bit, or the Mending of Dominaria ability that mills you a bit. It's actually a non-bow if it hits Gaia's.
I would rather run the Mending of Dominaria than this.
Yeah, no, we're going to run the Mending of Dominaria. I was just wondering if we could put something together. Is there a regrowth in Standard? If we
There's
can
Nature Spiral. Return target permanent from your graveyard to your hand. No.
Oh, we just have, sorry, we've already got Muldrotha. We've got Muldrotha that can just cast the Mending of Dominaria again.
Yes.
So as long as we have, what is it, like 5 cards in our grave, or in our library, we can just keep the Mending cycling those cards back in and out. No, we're going to mill out eventually. That's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I feel like the this is sort of heads up. Like in a 4-player brawl game, I would be way more concerned about the
Being milled
milling
out.
yourself.
Sure.
I feel like that.
Yeah, the
you know,
life
it doesn't need to be as big a
Yes,
consideration.
it's totally fine. Plus, with Muldrotha's ability, we're incentivized to play lands and creatures. We're not incentivized to play counterspells. So you're less likely to get into a game scenario where it's like you're just sitting there doing nothing except trying to play draw go and make your land drop constantly. Your commander is a 6/6 and you're gonna bash with her.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
fine. Let's forget about that notion.
What about, let's talk about filling out the deck with some utility creatures.
Yeah.
Like, what are the kind of things that we just want to make sure that we can get in that will keep us alive and turn sideways and carry Song of Freyalise counters,
Right.
like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like
So we
the
want
nuts and
mana
bolts.
dorks, right?
Well, yeah.
So we've got 3 that we thought of already, right?
There was also the new one that taps for green or taps for green if it's kicking something.
I like that
But
one
it's
a
a
lot.
2-mana dork.
That's what most of them are, right? We've only
Yeah.
had 1 mana.
Drover the Mighty is 2 mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay if we
I
don't have a
forget
ton of
its
turn
name.
1 plays. It's an elf, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely an elf.
I was also thinking of, just for early plays, if we're definitely under the gun, Bontu's Last Reckoning. which
Bonsu's
I
Last
understand
Reckoning
has
do?
the Highlander community is starting to come around on, at least thanks to Allison, who is
Yeah,
a big advocate for this
I
card.
think we all initially thought it would be pretty good, and Allison thought it would be great. And then I think everyone kind of like softened on it immediately because just not being able to untap your lands is such a huge drawback. But I think Allison is still playing it. And I think she doesn't plan to cut it because just making sure you don't die to your opponent's first 2 turns worth of plays is so good.
Yeah, could we just read Bonsu's Last Reckoning?
1 black sorcery. Destroy all creatures. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. So this has, a big cost, but it also has a totally reasonable and useful effect.
Yeah.
Possibly a quite important effect.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little sketchy because, like, on average, you can play it, blow everything up, then your opponent takes their turn, they get to replay something, then you have to take a turn off. So then they get to hit you with whatever they played the turn after you cast Bonsu's Last Reckoning, but it still prevents you from dying to whatever's on the battlefield.
Yeah.
And like the trap I keep falling into this is like, it says untap, your lands don't untap. That means all your mana dorks still do. So your land and my
Right.
brain's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But they
like-
might be indestructible from Song of Freyalise.
maybe.
So that's
Yeah.
like we're playing Song of Freyalise, so if we put Bonsu's Last Reckoning in there,
Or just
maybe
like we
do
play
that.
this late,
Yeah.
or we have tons of mana,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, 3 of my lands don't untap, but I have 4 other, so I can still play something.
For sure.
If you had a couple more dinosaurs, the cherished hatchling would be very fun.
That card's really weird and has a lot of words on it. But you made me think of another card that we might want to play, Ranging Raptors, which is a dinosaur.
Oh,
When it
yes.
gets damaged, it gets you a land, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of a cool early play. Helps us ramp, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably just, I mean, I haven't seen it get that many lands ever.
No.
But it's an early-ish play. It's a 3-drop in our deck that's ramping up to 6. And so, it at least makes our opponent kill something.
And there's also this guy that if for those land drops, if
Oh, right, this card's super great.
I mean he's not like super early because he needs ascend to actually attack and stuff, but he does.
Yeah, but
do
he
that
gives
double
you that
land drop.
additional
Yeah.
land.
No, we should include this guy. I love
Yeah.
just playing him on 3 when we have 2 lands to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
if he gets into our bin, then we can bring back
So
Muldrotha and
we're
play 2
talking
lands off
about
her.
Wayward Swordtooth.
Yeah.
For 2 and a green, you get a
Yeah,
dinosaur.
it's good.
A 5/5 dinosaur. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Wayward Swordtooth can't attack or block unless you have the City's Blessing.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because it gets you to Muldrotha, right?
Yep.
Like-
Absolutely.
And if you draw him late, he's just a 5/5 for 3.
Sure.
Okay.
Do we also want to run strategic planning?
I don't know.
What does that
yeah,
do again?
it mills us. It's 2 mana, one generic and 1 blue for a sorcery. Look at the top 3?
3 cards.
3 cards of your library, and then put 1 in your hand, the other 2 in your graveyard. Yeah, probably.
Probably.
The only thing I don't like about it is that it's blue. I've been
Yeah.
trying to...
Yeah, stay
but-
away from blue.
No, it's fine. Let's play this one, and then maybe let's also play that enchantment. Did you not want to play Search for Escanta? Oh, because the flip side doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for us since we're running currently 5 instants or sorceries.
The thing is, the flip side is, like, it just turns into a rampant growth, right? Like, it helps us mill a bit, and then if we want an
Okay,
extra
yeah.
I mean, it still adds a blue.
It does. It does. It is kind of a ramp spell.
Maybe it's wrong.
ultimately.
Maybe it's wrong to play Search for Escanta.
I don't know about Search for Escanta. I'm
Okay,
like very on the
okay.
fence about it.
All right,
but
let's not
speaking
include
of
it.
playing
It's fine.
instants and
Sorry.
sorceries, do we want to throw in like 1 or 2 pieces of just absolute removal,
Probably. That's a good idea. Yeah.
right? That doesn't rely on like having a creature
Sure.
or just like this has to go,
Right.
right?
So
So,
maybe
So
like-
like push.
yeah, like Fatal Push is a good call. Let's just play Fatal Push because
The other piece of removal that I really like in commander formats is, at least in Brawl right now, blue has access to a card called Deep Freeze.
cool. Yeah, I like
for
it.
2 and a blue, it's an aura. Enchanted creature has base power and toughness 0/4, has defender, loses all other abilities, and is a blue wall in addition to its other colors and types.
What I like about these includes as our sort of our removal plan is that they're both lower on the curve. So we can cast them early to get them out of the way. Deep Freeze we can bring back, which is great, right? If they disenchanted or something like that. But at the same time, I don't think we want to be playing like your 5-drop removal because that interferes with more powerful effects we're doing
yeah,
with creatures.
absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, like Fatal Push doesn't hit everything, but that's fine.
I just thought of another mana dork. It's called Naga Vitalist. It's from
Oh,
Invoker.
right, yes,
So maybe we
yeah.
should play that one too.
Am I wrong on that? Is my analysis
No, I
wrong?
love it. No, I definitely want our removal spells to be cheaper. And I like this one because we can get it back if... Like, what maybe is going to end up happening with that is that you make them have a wall, and then we don't have a ton of evasion, so we end up just having to attack into that wall.
Yeah,
And
but if
then,
we go wide...
And then it dies, but we can just play the deep freeze again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Another card I was thinking of was Daring Saboteur, because I
What
want...
does that do?
Daring Saboteur is a
It's
2/1
unblockable.
human pirate for 1 and a blue. It isn't unblockable, but it can be made unblockable for 2 and a blue.
And if we're ramping, we can pay that.
Whenever Daring Saboteur deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Looters are not super common right now in Standard from everything I've been trying to do.
Right.
But I like looting effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what this does is that says I will... I mean, what it... In a clogged up board, it does it, you know, and we have mana like late in the game. It's like, okay, I'm getting in, and you can't deal with me.
Right.
And then like early game, you can like plow that in. Maybe you take out a 2/2 or something like that, you know, or you get a creature with it. They're like, yeah, I gotta block this thing, and then we can get it later when it's more relevant, right? I feel like stuff that's good. Muldrotha makes it okay to like throw away cards like this early game, whereas sometimes when you don't have that sort of insurance plan, you're like, but I really want to draw the card later, so you hesitate with it.
Right.
Right? You don't make an optimally aggressive play.
I see you're also looking at cycling creatures. And
Yeah,
think
well, I
that's-
was looking
think
at
that's
like
great. Yeah.
Nimble Obstructionist. I think is an interesting card.
Yeah, we might even just want to play some of the ones that cycle for 1 or 2 mana.
Yeah.
Even if they aren't great. Oh, the Chefet Monitor. That's an exciting one.
Yeah, Chefet Monitor for 5 and a green. You get a 6/5 lizard. It also has cycling for 3 and a green. When you cycle Chefet Monitor, you may search your library for a basic land card or desert card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library.
Now the cycling is 4, but you,
Yep.
but you get the land onto the battlefield untapped.
Yep. I think this is a good
And it
include.
tutors for a desert. Yeah, there's at least one creature that cycles for like just 1 black mana or 1 green mana too, right?
I think there was
think.
a common one.
Oh, I actually like that Scorpion. It cycles for 2 colorless, but then
The
it's
Wasteland
also
Scorpion.
but then it's a death
Yeah.
it's a death touch creature. So two
So you-
colorless and a black Scorpion creature, 2/2 death touch, and cycles for 2.
This is great.
I think this fills a lot of holes, right?
Yeah, yeah, because, you know, maybe you cycle it, maybe you cast it and then block aggressively. You're like, no, that dies, right?
Yep.
Holds back their board, and then you bring it back and it blocks really well again.
I think including Nimble Obstructionist is also fine.
Well, it gives us some air power,
It's a really
which
good
is kind of
card.
good.
It's just really good. Yeah, I don't know if we have enough flying creatures. We've got Bells and Lock. Maybe we're supposed to play Rite of Bells and Lock just to have another flyer, or maybe just some more.
What about that Knight of Windgrace that puts cards in your bin, but you get like a 3/4 flyer? 4/5 flyer?
I think it's a 3/2 flyer. Otherwise, I would like it. I don't hate that card. You gain 2 life. It's like a kind of a draft card. This Knight of Wind.
No.
No,
There's,
is
the
it
cat-
Windgrace Adept or something? It's a flying
It's the
common
flying
creature.
cat.
It has Windgrace in the name, though.
Yeah, sorry, Paul. I don't know what cards are called.
Maybe we should play some good cards in this deck, too.
Windgrace Acolyte, you're right, is a 3/2 for 5.
Yeah. So you were just thinking of this card. I like that it gains you 3 life. But you know what else gains you life?
Yeah.
The Scarab God.
Yeah.
So maybe we should just jam that puppy in there.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't fly, but it gets us things that do.
I don't think it's banned in the format. It does gain you life. Or sorry, it makes your opponent lose life, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
kind of the same
like you
thing
gaining
as
life.
you gaining life, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, are there any other standard powerhouse cards that we're forgetting right
Hostage Taker.
now? That's a decent one. Yeah, I don't even think Hostage Taker has been very popular of late. But
Hasn't it?
yeah, but Scarab God for sure, I think you'll find. It's a
think-
card you want to include in your deck.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, you get like, how many zombies are we running? Maybe. Oh, well,
We've
I
got
mean,
Josu Vess.
yeah, if we have
Josu Vess, and we're
Everything
running,
you bring back with Scarab God turns into a zombie. That's
Yeah,
one of
that's
the
Yeah,
abilities,
we're also running Liliana, Death's Majesty.
right, and she makes zombies.
Hey, we passed on Search for Azcanta, but what about the black and green enchantments from that cycle?
The one that flips into Gaia's Cradle is...
I think could be okay in this deck. We're playing
we're playing a lot of creatures. And we have use for a lot of mana. And that one is
certainly do.
Growing Rights of
Growing Rights of
Itlamok.
Itlamok.
That's another card we spoiled.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys spoiled Growing Rights? That's
It was
awesome.
in an
Sorry, I
episode
missed
of
that.
Friday Nights.
Nice. Also, Hadana's Climb. Did we mention that one
Yeah,
yet? Okay.
I have Adana's Climb in
Perfect.
here. So Growing Rights of Itlamok is 2 and a green for an legendary enchantment. When Growing Rites of Itlimoc enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, can transform Growing Rites of Itlimoc. It transforms into Itlimoc, Cradle of the Sun, a legendary land that taps for green mana, or taps for green mana, or adds green mana for each creature you control. So it's
Guy's Cradle.
Guy's Cradle that
That's
also
better
just can
Guy's
tap
Cradle.
for
and,
green.
And if they're like, oh, I don't want you to have Gaia's Cradle, it's like, well, too bad, I'm running Muldrotha, so you can destroy it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? But I'll get it back.
What we're most worried about is Deep Freeze at this point. Yeah, I'm not sure if we missed any other super good removal in our colors. I don't know if there's anything else in Standard that just blows up. We're playing Vraska, right? Like Vraska is one of the best catch-alls.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just so we can blow up our opponent's Deep Freeze.
Well, let's count how many creatures
Yeah,
we're playing right
I think
now.
we're pretty close to the end of a deck
1,
here.
2,
Yeah.
3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
Yeah,
17,
destroy target
18,
artifact, creature, or
19,
enchantment for
20,
-3.
21, 22,
Get a
23.
treasure. Just add insult to injury.
23 creatures.
Great.
24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29,
There's also just the contempt if you want to
30.
kill more stuff.
Oh, right.
that's a good
Vraska's
one.
Contempt. Yeah, there we go.
Maybe we should run that as just a emergency escape valve.
We're past 60 now.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely past 60,
yeah.
so we have to definitely start making cuts.
I feel like Vraska's Contempt is as much as I want to pay for just for removal, but it's very like, this deals with a problem.
Yeah, I like that it kills a Planeswalker.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
gives
and
us some life. And it's exile, right? So it's definitely not coming back.
There's also a lot of other, like, just very good cards in Standard right now that, like, Sandworm Convergence.
Oh, okay. An really expensive enchantment.
Yeah,
But it wins
but-
the game on its own.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's also flying defense.
yeah.
8 mana.
Oof.
But we're playing some mana dorks.
Like,
You might
in
want to
my
play
experience
it as a top end
in
thing.
these formats, getting to 8 mana is not a challenge.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough. And one doing a brawl. Yeah, you might be able to do it, no problem.
So Sandworm Convergence, 6 and 2 green, enchantment. Creatures with flying can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of your end step, create a 5/5 green worm creature token.
Those
I
are
like
two
it.
really good abilities. Yeah.
At the beginning of the podcast, I said maybe we are running some of those sap herds in like a Tender Street drive, but I don't think we are. I think that's not efficient enough within our strategy.
There's
Like
also
I've-
the big sandworm. But
Right, this guy that cycles. Yeah. But this for 8 mana, you just get a 5/5 every turn.
Yeah.
And also it saves you from getting hit by flyers, which is pretty good.
Yeah, Sandworm Convergence is definitely some fun insurance.
Yeah.
Or a complete dud, but you know what? Like, there's no
Well, it's-
sideboarding, right?
Right.
It's never going to be a dud, right? If you can cast it, it wins the game.
Sure. Yeah, if it resolves, yeah.
And if it doesn't,
Then you cast
You
it
can cast
again.
again. Yeah, I mean, they can exile your spell. They can't really get rid of your Muldrotha in commander formats, right? But they can get rid of your other things potentially. Like if they have a Death Gorge Scavenger, if they have a Phyrexian Convergence. There are ways to deal with everything except your commander. But for sure, this is the deck where like you're gonna recur stuff. Like that's the theme. So
it's not
One
a
of these-
legendary enchantment. You could have 2 of these.
something's gonna get
Well-
through. Well, you only allowed to play one of each card.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
think of it that way, right?
Sure.
So 3,
I think you're
No,
at the
what am I
spot.
talking about? I'm just really tired.
That's okay. So at this point, we're making cuts.
yeah.
We're trying
Cool.
to whittle. We've thought of enough cool things to play, and
yeah, we'll-
invariably between now and when you play your tournament, you'll think of a few more you missed.
Yeah, I like how our various deck building strategies are here. Like Cam is like, what about this card that is like 8 mana but amazing?
Right.
And I'm like, what about a card that just kills the thing? What about a card that does exactly what it says on the wrapper?
I just want enough mana to cast these cards.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
3
Well, I
heads
mean, like,
truly
we've
are
got-
better than 1.
I don't think we're going to have trouble with mana.
Okay.
We've got a ton of mana dorks. We've got 25 basic, or 25 land. We have the ability to filter and look for things.
Yeah, the way your basic spread worked out, I think it's possible you can turn an island into a forest or a swamp.
I would maybe turn it into a swamp because there's some double black stuff that we want to cast earlier rather than later.
Sure. Yep.
Like
I think that's fine.
Like Vraska's Contempt and Choop and
Yep.
the Gifted Etherborn.
For sure.
So Yeah, I mean, this just strikes me as a very effective grindy attrition deck.
That sounds like fun, Cameron. And I get to play from the graveyard, which is always the best feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but Champion of Wits is in here.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's good. We
No,
want
that's
Champion
perfect.
Wits. It does double blue on the way back, but that might be our only double blue.
I think so.
Not sure how many other double blues
I mean,
we
if
have.
you're
I mean,
hitting
we've got, but it's not
7
gonna be a problem. We've got all those rare duels, so we're gonna have double blue.
Yeah,
also.
and like 7 double blue, I'm less worried about than like 3 double blue.
Like, I
That's
think-
like, ugh.
I think I think if Sandworm Convergence is the biggest controversial card here, like I know Jer's standard deck ran Sandworm Convergence.
Well, that boy likes to take lots of risks. But Sandworm Convergence offers lots of reward too. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I just think right now you're at the spot where you need to cut, is it 4 or 5 cards, something like that?
Probably closer to 10.
Right. We've got a list in front of us of every card we've mentioned, and yeah, we're around 70 cards. So I guess in this podcast we probably don't have quite time to whittle it down. This is the hard part. We did all the fun part of deck building. So if you're new to deck building and you enjoyed it, good. Now you have to like say goodbye, at least for the first playthrough, where you have to say
Yeah.
goodbye to some of your little friends.
Yeah.
So that you have a
And
legal deck.
That's always the hardest part
'cause-
because everything's got a justification case.
That's true. You there's some ways to help. So when you're doing your cuts, and
How do you make cuts?
So when you're cutting, one of the first things I recommend doing is just laying your deck out on its curve, which is hard to do if you just started on a notepad. But if you've been typing all of this into, like, say, tappedout.net or tappedout.com, whatever it is, or you have some other deck building app, then you can look at the mana cost curve. And I bet we're going to end up keeping all of the cards that we chose that cost 1 mana, and probably most of the ones that we chose that cost 2. But after the 3 and up category, like I know we picked a lot of 3s even. So even though that's kind of cheap and you're almost never going to be dead on turn 3 in Brawl. I don't even think it's possible in the standard format. You still just don't want too much of a glut because you want like a smooth curve, especially if you're making all your land drops. So you start there. You look at how many cards you have in the parts of your curve that are too long, and so then you say like, okay, I need to cut 2 5-drops, and I should cut 1 3-drop, and I should cut 3 4-drops because I have like 15 4-drops or something, and I only really want 10 or something, or less. Probably you want like 6. But yeah, so then that way you can say like the following cards are safe, and then you can go through your deck. The second tool that I use most regularly when I'm trying to trim a deck is just removing all the cards that I'm sure are super vital. So it's like, your commander, you've decided on that. And then if you know how many lands you want to play, and you're committed to playing that number of lands, then you just put all those away. And then all the other cards that you think are just like core, like they fueled other decisions that you made when you were deck building.
It's not
include
like-
those ones. Like the Song of Frehley's, I think we have to play Song of Frehley's in this deck. Right?
Yeah.
Because we chose
Because it makes
to play
all our crappy mana dorks into very viable creatures.
Yeah, in the late game.
Yeah.
So I've also added in Bolus's Clutches.
Okay, that's
As
a
an
fun
executive decision.
card. That's great. It's enchant
As a-
permanent.
Yeah.
Great.
enchant-
Steal a thing.
yeah. And if they are able to kill it, cool.
I mean,
Right.
maybe what we do is like maybe like we look at what is kind of a non-bow with our deck, and we're like, okay, Demon Lord Belzenok might whiff some of our plans. Maybe we run up in Bolus's Clutches
Clutches
instead,
instead, sure.
and then if they have a Demon Lord Belzenlock, then we have a Demon Lord Belzenlock.
Yeah.
Right, like that kind of thing. Like that's like it's good. It's a good card. It's there's nothing wrong with Belzenlock, but like it's on the bubble because of that.
Hilariously, with the addition of In Bolus's Clutches, we have 69 cards in the deck.
You
So-
can't make me dab.
I won't.
I wasn't going to. But, yeah, so we have 9 cuts. Oh, no, wait, sorry, that's 70 cards because Muldrotha also counts for 1.
Right, we're looking to build 59 cards here, right?
Yeah.
So we'll pare this down, and you will be able to see it on Thursday, the 31st of May,
Yes.
2018. You'll see it in action, and we'll probably die, but maybe we'll have
Maybe
redefined the meta.
That's true. It could be very fun.
This
Can we,
new post-Baral meta.
Can we include the list as a comment when we post this
Yeah,
on Monday?
yeah,
Do you think
sure.
that's
Yeah,
possible?
we'll
I'll-
include
see.
the final version of the list.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll send this along to our editors, and we'll
Heather.
make sure that that it winds up in the comments. The tapped out list winds up in the comments.
Thanks, Heather. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
But considering that we're at 80 minutes of podcast,
But this was a very educational 80 minutes. We had 2 experts and me, the avatar for persons at home with questions.
yeah, So hopefully you found this entertaining and you're not just screaming at your monitor right now or
Oh yeah, let us
Yeah.
know which important card for this archetype we forgot, because I'm
yeah,
sure there's
because
at least one.
actually, in point of fact,
Yeah.
since this will be going up on Monday, you will have a couple of days to
Yeah.
remind us, being like, "Hey, by the way, you forgot this card, which is actually just an insane combo with Muldrotha."
Right.
Or with other card that you said was an auto include.
Or that is the best card in Standard, and we just forgot about it.
Because we're just spitting from the head right now.
Yeah, like we
right?
don't have cards in front of us. We're just like, what would be good? What would be good, right? You know.
So, thank you very much for joining us on this build podcast, and we want to thank, first off, you, the viewer, over at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun for supporting us and making all of this possible. We wouldn't be able to do this without your generous support. We would also want to thank the very kind people over at cardkingdom.com/LRR.
It's a kingdom of cards.
Pay them, so they pay us.
Yes, and if you go to cardkingdom.com/LRR, that will enter our affiliate code and let them know that we sent you. And if you enter the text "Lur sent me button please" when you make an order, they will probably be able to send you a 1-inch button. Although I'm not sure what it is right now. I suspect that they may be out.
The tilt of the screw flood flip
Yeah,
button.
yeah, the screw flip.
It was
flip
a
button.
button like a
one.
flip card, and on one side it said screw, on the other side it said flood. So the two states of magic. But if that's sold out, we'll have something additionally spicy.
Yes, I think we had a backlog of them worked out.
Yes, yes.
Also, if you hate Flood, play this deck we just built.
Yeah, there's no such thing as flood with this deck.
What else did I want to say? Oh yeah, cardkingdom.com has great brick and mortar stores if you're in Seattle.
Yeah,
definitely
in Bellevue
consider.
or Ballard.
Yeah, definitely consider dropping in on them. Mock Sporting House makes really good food. I've come to think of Card Kingdom's brick and mortar stores as the kind of game store I would open if I had unlimited amounts of money,
Yeah.
because it's just kind of a cool place to go and hang out.
They're great.
It's a dependable hangout spot. You're never not going to have a good time at Card Kingdom because you're surrounded by fun things and good food and alcohol if that's your jam. And if it's not, they also have non-alcoholic drinks.
Quite good ones.
Yeah.
I think they yeah,
Have, like Mox and Ballard has like an espresso bar.
Yeah.
That will make you a pretty deep, like not an amazing espresso, but a good one.
cardkingdom.com. Not
It's a
amazing espresso,
But good.
but good espresso.
I have high standards for my caffeinated drinks.
It's the best espresso on that block.
Yeah, it's that best espresso.
And it's
probably
in
within a
Seattle.
zone.
It's
Yeah.
in Seattle.
Okay, so thank you again very much for joining us today, and we will catch you on the flip side. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.